My coverage of CES 2023 is brought to you by Gigabyte, Asus, Kioxia, and Cooler Master. Welcome to my continuing coverage of CES 2023. I'm here at Thermaltake. We're going to do a quick tour of their booth. They have a new Ceres 500 chassis that's launching very, very soon. They also have some conceptual chassis. How do you pronounce? Mike?
Chassis?
Chassis?
Chassis.
Cases. How about Dimitri? What's the plural of chassis?
Chassis.
It's just chassis. Hardware Connects is here too. They have multiple people making their videos, which is why their videos are so high quality. I'm just here doing mine.
Oh, Paul.
I'm also coming over here to poke.
What's up?
Eber's here too. We're gonna fist bump because that's how you say hi at CES. It's been way too long. We're not gonna catch up here on camera. I just wanted to point to everyone that Eber's here too because we got the whole Hardware Connects crew. All right. We're going to start off here with a quick look at power supplies because, you know, Thermaltake, they make lots of different power supplies, lots of different wattages. Some of them have 80 plus gold rating, some of them have 80 plus platinum rating. But look at this cable right here. Let me ask you guys a question. Are you afraid of this cable? Does this cable make you nervous? This is the notorious 12VH power cable, which NVIDIA had some issues with the RTX 4090 in particular. But let's just say the melting issues are not nearly as widespread as has often been made out. And Thermaltake has assured me that with these direct extensions, these native 12VH power cables that they have for their new ATX 3.0 power supplies, they have done extensive testing, like super extensive testing, to make sure that they're going to stand the test of time and not do that horrible thing where they melt, like you may have seen in a lot of coverage towards the end of last year. So here's what we got. SFX, platinum rated, available in these wattages. Those are these little guys right here. I'll show you in a second. We got the PF3, which doesn't have RGB or anything, but it's platinum rated, available in all these wattages. And we have the GF3, which is ARGB, that can be synced with your motherboard, again, available in all of these wattages. And then the top one there, the IRGB titanium, available in 1250 and 1650, and that is like this one right here. As you can see, 80 plus titanium rated, does have RGB fan functionality in there. It's got the heavier duty plug because it's got to support higher amperage because it's a 1,650 watt power supply, fully modular power supply unit that we have here. And look right there. See that? Not one, but two 12VH power connectors. So it's going to scare you twice as much, right? And then we have these SFX ones, and SFX is really cool because you can make a very small computer, and it's also nice to know that, you know, this tiny little thing can supply 850 watts of power. And this is your standard SFX form factor right here. So this is going to be compatible with a pretty wide variety of cases. It does have the 12VH power connector right there. So for anyone who's interested in wedging an RTX 4080 into a very small chassis, or likewise, you know, one of the new AMD 7900 XT or 7900 XTX, which also have pretty high power supply requirements, although those don't use the 12VH power connector, but I digress. If you did want to fit something a little bit more powerful, like a 4090, depending on which 4090 you're talking about, some of them are overclocked, some of them have higher power supply recommendations, but this is SFX-L. So it is a little bit longer than standard SFX, but it is still very small, still has that native 12VH power connector. There it is, 1,000 watts in the palm of my hand. Glorious. Here's some memory, Thermaltake Tough RAM. Not too much in the way of changes or updates for these kits, but they have updated these to DDR5 speeds. So this is their original version. This is the slightly newer version. These are now available with DDR5 memory kits, and speeds go up to 6,600 megatransfers per second. Cool. Next up, we have the most powerful fan in the world, Eber. No, I'm just kidding. He's a big fan of my YouTube channel. Okay. Let's talk about fans next. Thermaltake has their Tough fans, and look at them here. They have them in kind of a different trim. They have these installed in a few of their test systems that they have built around. Just sort of a different IP going on the outside, a different design, and I think it looks pretty cool. You know, look at all those squares there. That's pretty, that's visually appealing. These fans are called the CT series, and what Thermaltake is basically doing is, if you've ever bought a budget case, it might come with fans. The fans that come in budget cases, they're not often that high quality, but Thermaltake is sort of trying to reset that with these fans. They're available in 120 and 140 millimeter sizes. They're available in a 2-pack, and a lot of the Thermaltake cases, especially the more entry-level cases that aren't going to cost quite as much, are going to have fans like these, higher RPMs, better bearings on them. They're going to stay nice and quiet, and they'll be a solid upgrade over the typical fans that you find in cases. This is also the CT series, just in a black finish instead of white. And then here we have the SWAFAN EX. I did some pre-roll ads on the SWAFAN. The blades are swappable. So if you look at these two fans, these fan blades are swept this way. These fan blades are swept the other way. And that means that although they might be spinning in the same direction, this is going to be an intake pulling air towards us. This is going to be an exhaust pushing air back the other direction. The SWAFANs ship with both sets of blades, so you can swap them out depending on where they're positioned in your case, whether you want an intake or an exhaust. You can set that up. But you might have also noticed that these were stuck together. Did you notice that? Did you notice that these were stuck together? The SWAFAN EX now has the ability to daisy chain more than one fan together, and they're held together with magnets, and they're pretty strong magnets too. So it doesn't feel like it's gonna easily fall apart. Bear in mind, the magnets would mainly be there to hold them together while you install them in your case. Then you're likely going to be, drilling some screws through and holding them a bit more securely for yourself. But that means that over on this end, you again just have a single magnetic connector and a single cable that leads out to this plug. Thermaltake for some time has been using a single plug for the fan power as well as the RGB. That has its pros and its cons, but it does have the benefit of once you connect it up, you can sync them all up with the Thermaltake software. Also, by the way, if you want PWM control for your Thermaltake fans, make sure you're running the Thermaltake software. But these are going to be available in 3 packs. It's going to be just $110 for the 120s and $120 for the 140s. And if that's not enough for you, we also have the SWAFAN GT. And these actually will ship with 3 sets of blades. And as you can see, they are labeled. We have a high airflow over here, reverse high airflow over here, and then we have a static pressure option as well, or high air pressure. As you can hopefully see on this one, it says high air pressure. So if you're putting this on a radiator, that's the one you should use. Over here we have a line of cases, and these are actually in development. CTE, form factor, which stands for Centralized Thermal Efficiency. These cases are all on the larger side, but they support an insane amount of fans and cooling. Actually, 420 millimeter radiators are the specialty this time around, and this case can support not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 420 millimeter radiators? What? That's totally true. We've got the front intake, we've got the bottom, we've got the back next to the motherboard, and then we've got this one on top as well. And it's actually very fitting because Thermaltake is also launching a 420 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler, and that is actually one that is installed currently in this case right here. The radiator is back on that portion back there. You might also notice the somewhat unique orientation of the build that's in this chassis. It's rotated 90 degrees, so the I/O is at the top. It's great for heavy graphics cards because it means they hang directly down from the bracket, and you don't have to deal with GPU sag. It does mean that all of your I/O is going to be coming out here at the top of the motherboard over there, and the top of the graphics card right there. Fortunately, it is not too tough at all to pop this top panel off, and you just have a single dust filter there so you can access the I/O. They've also taken steps to make sure you have cable routing areas back there, and also plenty of space up here above the plugs, because for video cards in particular, like DisplayPort connectors, can be pretty big and bulky. So that is the CTE C750 Air that has an air intake at the front. There's also a tempered glass version right over here. Just has tempered glass there instead of the airflow, so a little bit less airflow on this one on the front, but still, again, plenty of exhaust intake, however you want to set it up in terms of fan and radiator support. I am told these will also be available in Snow Edition, which is Thermaltake's branding for their white edition versions of the cases. And I wanted to show this one because it's got a bit more of an extensive open loop build in it with the distro plate there at the back with RGB effects on it. That's looking really cool. But you might notice here, we've got the rotated 90 degrees motherboard mount. We also have a vertical GPU mount, but it's also rotated. So that's sort of an orientation for a graphics card that I haven't really seen before, because again, the motherboard is rotated so the I/O's at the top. Graphics card also I/O's at the top, but the front of the graphics card, which right now has a Thermaltake water block on it, again looking real nice with some RGB lighting and some semi-opaque fluid. It gives a real nice presentation there. So very good looking cases. Again, these are currently in development, so Thermaltake's looking for feedback on them. If you guys have any suggestions, please leave those down in the comment section below. Here's a quick look at the C700 versus the C750. So these are the big ones, so you can support 3 140mm fans across the bottom. This one is squished down a little bit, just not quite as wide. 2 140s at the bottom. You lose that position where this case had the distro plate over there. So it's a little bit more compact, but still just as tall. And as you can probably see, still plenty of room for vertical fans as well as cooling. And again, we have 2 variations of this one. One here with airflow in the front and one here with tempered glass. And here's the last case in that CTE series that's under development, the CTE T500. A bit more of a tower style design with these. So just wanted to show them to you real quick. Again, lots of support for 140mm fans, including 420mm AIO cooling solutions. And that's another thing I love to check out when I stop by the Thermaltake booths, is they always have some really epic builds. Really clean looking, water cooling and air cooling. Here's a case that I've been wanting to show you because you can actually buy it either now or very soon. This is the Ceres 500 TG ARGB. And we actually have the builder of this system right here. Timothy from PC Works is here, and he said he could open it up for us to show us inside. Now the case itself is $170 from Thermaltake. It doesn't come with some of these add-ons like this LCD panel down here. It of course doesn't come with this beautiful open loop build that's in here or all the chrome or anything like that, but the case itself does feature room for a 360mm rad there on the front, as well as the top, as well as I will say just a distinct look. What they've done with the perforations here for the airflow throughout looks, I'd say, significantly different than quite a few other cases I've seen, even though we are looking at what is a pretty standard tower form factor. The front here can actually support up to a 420mm radiator. It's got a 360 installed there right now. And this panel down here, they said they're working on other options. So perhaps a larger LCD panel. LCD panels are really all the rage to give you some stats and info on your system. And then right now we have a vertical GPU installed here, but this panel is also rotatable, so you can do a standard GPU orientation as well. The one we're looking at right here is custom painted, so this is a nice gray finish. It will be available from Thermaltake in 2 colors though, black and white. And here they are, right behind me. The black version over here, the white version right here. The white version has a full build in it, which again, looking really nice. I'm very impressed with the builds that Thermaltake has here at their booth. But that is all the time that I have for my coverage here. So I want to say a big thank you to my sponsors for CES 2023, Asus, Gigabyte, Kioxia, and Cooler Master. I'll be back with lots more coverage very soon. Also, big shout out to the guys from Hardware Canucks. Thanks for putting up with me today. And thanks for Thermaltake for having me here at their booth. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.